So one of my most anticipated events has finally happened. The first ever Alien TV series has dropped. At least the first 2 episodes. They are streaming now on Hulu and Disney Plus, I believe. So I'd recommend going and checking those out before watching this video, because I am going to go fully into spoilers here. I'm not going to be reviewing this like I review a movie. I'm going to try to deep dive. I'm going to talk about characters and story points and give my thoughts and theories for what might be coming and all of that fun junk. So if you haven't seen it, or if you care about spoilers, I'd recommend watching it first, just so you know you are warned. And let's get right into it. So, like I said, the first 2 episodes are streaming now. I just watched them both back to back, and overall, my opinion on the series as of right now is, I think it's pretty good. I have some pros, I have some cons, but overall, I was definitely won over by these episodes, most particularly episode 2. I think there is definitely a reason why they dropped 2 episodes at once, because there is a lot of setup to be done in episode 1. A lot of it's done very, very well, and I enjoyed it, but the insanity, the pure batshit insanity of episode 2 was fantastic. And so, I think it makes a lot of sense that they put 2 episodes out at once. It does at least hold on to the idea of happening a couple years before Alien, and it does take place on Earth, and that was the main draw of the series, because throughout all of the Alien franchise, we've only seen planet Earth, I believe, in the movies at least, at the tail end of Alien Resurrection, and for a couple of minutes in Alien Romulus. So this series already has all the others beat as far as the time that we actually spend on Earth. And we get to learn a little bit more about the Earth in this universe and how it is controlled by these mega corporations, which we already knew, with Weyland-Yutani being one of them, but they introduced the idea of other corporations that own and kind of thrive in different areas of the world. One of them being a corporation named Prodigy that has their head honcho basically kind of being this Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk type of figure, where he's a young, really, really intelligent guy, kind of aloof, always kind of walking around in casual attire in his pajamas or whatever, but he's insanely intelligent, and he's working on different types of technology than Weyland-Yutani is, as Weyland-Yutani is very well versed in creating the androids, the synthetics that we know. Prodigy is working on something that's completely different and that we haven't seen in this universe thus far, and it's the idea of being able to transfer a human consciousness into a synthetic body. Essentially, this kind of transplant, I don't know if it's exactly a brain transplant or like what the specifics of it is, but the idea is that you are taking a human being and then now putting them into basically this immortal body of a synthetic that will never age, never die, all of that kind of stuff. So they're doing something completely different, and they exist on an opposite side of the world than Weyland-Yutani does, but always kind of vying for power. They're always kind of vying for resources, that sort of thing. And they're performing this experiment kind of for the very first time of transferring a human consciousness into a synthetic, and their first guinea pig is this girl who, has some kind of cancer, some kind of disease. The body she's given is that of a young adult, and the reason being is because the body is never going to age. So their thought process essentially was, we want to put her in an adult body because her mind is still going to grow, and you don't want her to be trapped in a child body forever. I don't think they can really perform this procedure over and over again to keep giving you an older body, but essentially this is sort of, in a way, the key to immortality. It's the way to put you into a different body that's going to be the same forever. And they are experimenting on people that have these illnesses, these diseases, but what's even creepier and a little bit more fucked up about all of it is that they're all children. And there is tons of references to Peter Pan, which I thought was really funny, because thinking about it, oh yeah, Disney technically owns the Alien franchise now because they own Fox and they own Hulu and everything. So they actually got to use footage from Peter Pan, and every kid that gets put into a synthetic body is named after a character from Peter Pan. So the lead actress is named Wendy, and then we have Smee, and we have numerous others from like the Peter Pan mythos, and sort of this idea of staying young forever, right? Like, it's pretty on the nose, but I like it. It works for me. Like this whole sort of weird Lost Boys, where this group of people that are never really, like, their mind is going to age, but it's sort of like they are now children in adult bodies, straying into those aspects of playing God. But at the same time, if this is a cure to illnesses that are going to kill them when they're young, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It's probably somewhere in between. And, those are the kind of ideas and moral conflicts that really good sci-fi gives you, of having the conversations of, is this actually good? Obviously they're probably not doing it for the right reasons, but if it's something that's going to benefit somebody that would have died young, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to discuss there. There's a lot to go into, but they are also heavily monitoring these children and not letting them out. They are essentially guinea pigs. They are experiments. This is the first time they've ever attempted this. They don't know what could actually happen, what could go wrong, and they are, of course, also implementing these advancements into their design. For example, Wendy was actually able to send a message through this video screen that she was watching without even realizing that she was able to do it, and little things like that. Not to mention the enhanced strength, the enhanced speed. It's almost as if they're actually kind of subtly creating soldiers, or perhaps, sell this technology to the military and all that kind of stuff. That's not in the episode. That's just kind of like theories that are in my head, but there's very much like experimentation of how far we can push this and how far does it go with them still being human or still being able to be called human. And if we add these little augmentations and advancements as far as it goes along, then can we utilize them the way that we want to? They kind of have to fall in line, even though they do have freedom in the sense that, like, they're not locked in cages, but they're stuck in an area where they kind of are all forced to interact with each other. They're monitored. Their data is collected and stuff. People have their eyes on them 24/7. They're constantly under surveillance. So, like, they are prisoners in a way. Now, how does this have anything to do with Alien? Well, there is other shit going on. So, there is a Weyland-Yutani spaceship out in the middle of space. In the very beginning of the episode, we get to meet the crew. We get to spend about one scene with them before they're all killed off, but the introduction to the crew is like a one-to-one comparison to the original Alien when the Nostromo crew wakes up. You see the same exact sleep pods. You see them hanging around the breakfast table, having conversations. It's literally Alien just done again with a different crew. Like, it's just like almost exactly the same the entire way through. But with that, I do got to say that the attention to detail with the set design, with the technology, with the mother AI of the ships, all that kind of stuff, it looks exactly like the original Alien. So the fact that this is supposed to take place about a year or so before Alien, everything matches up. Like all of the set design, everything here looks incredible, and I gotta give credit where credit is due. They really pretty much made a one-to-one comparison with Alien as far as the aesthetic and the technology goes. So absolutely amazing, looks incredible. But like I said, we don't really get to spend any time with this crew because next time that we cut to them, the monsters are already loose. So here's the part that gets kind of strange. They were on a mission in space to collect these specimens of life forms, essentially. And we see a variety of the life forms that they have. They have these like little bugs that sort of look like stick bugs sort of things, and they kind of work like ticks. I'll get into them in a minute. There's plant life that they have. There's the little eyeball creature that's like about this big, like an eyeball with tentacles and stuff. So all of these kind of alien species, and this is something that that this series, Alien Earth, is doing differently than a lot of the other Alien franchise that focuses almost 100% on the Xenomorph. I mean, we do have the engineers and stuff from Prometheus, but this is showcasing us a lot more alien extraterrestrial life that is out there beyond just the Xenomorph, or beyond just the engineers or the space jockeys, whatever you want to go with. And I like this idea. I like this idea because the universe is infinite, and a lot of the horror and mystery of the original film is setting up this idea of the potential of what could be out there. So I like that these things exist. My only drawback with that would be I wouldn't want to ever take away from the Xenomorph itself kind of being the perfect organism and the staple of the franchise. Like, I wouldn't want to find another creature that's like more deadly than the Xenomorph unless it's a Xenomorph variation. I think that would, in any other series maybe, but in Alien, I feel like the Alien should be the top dog. You know what I mean? But I like the idea. My only issue here is that so far, and with the TV series, a lot can be explained as time goes on. So a lot of gripes of early episodes can be resolved as the series progresses. But where did they get this shit? In Alien and Aliens, it seems like the discovery, or at least the knowledge of the Xenomorph eggs is like a huge deal, right? And it can still be a huge deal, but it makes it seem like these other alien species weren't really documented, and they probably won't be. That's where I think the show is going to eventually lead to, is that even though they're all here, they won't be known about afterwards, besides the Xenomorph probably. But I still wonder where the crew got them. How did they know where to find them? Did they go to different planets? Are they on planets that are filled with other species? Or were all the species that they collected just a luck of the draw? Like, where did they go? Are they aware of other life forms and other planets? Because even in Prometheus, it was still a big deal to get confirmation of extraterrestrial life and go searching for it. So if extraterrestrial life is just kind of like a known thing, I get that this would be after Prometheus, but it seems like we need some kind of explanation as to what the mission was, where they actually went. And the biggest thing is, like, where did they get the facehuggers? Like, where did this come from? Now, in my heart of hearts, I would love for them to connect this to Alien Covenant and David having all of the embryos of the facehuggers. They probably won't do that, especially if you go by the comments they said about not connecting it to Prometheus and Covenant, or even if it's in canon, they're not going to touch on those movies. But I would love there to be some kind of connection, and to say that they got these from the wreckage of the Covenant or something like that. Just give me a one line of dialogue. Like, we don't even need to have David in the show. Just give me one good solid line of dialogue so that I can connect the thinnest thread I possibly can from Alien Covenant to Alien Earth. Give me something. Anyways, I hope that is explained. I hope they aren't just like miraculously carrying alien eggs out of nowhere. Like, where did they get them? I want to know. Anyways, it does not go well for them, because obviously somehow, some way, we don't see it happen, but one of the crew gets the alien inside of them. It bursts out. We see their body later on. We don't see this in the first episode, but we see the body in the second episode with the chest opened up from the alien. So when it cuts back to the ship, we get our first alien attack scene, and this is the scene that sold me on the show, because practical effects, real guy in a real suit playing the Xenomorph on camera without CGI, and it was glorious. It was exactly what I needed. It's exactly what I've been wanting. Getting to see the alien full force, close up, practical, animatronic, getting that mouth to open, the drool, the drizzle. I love goopy, drizzly aliens. The wetter, the better. That's what I always say when it comes to aliens. And it looked glorious. And so I gotta give them credit once again, not just for the set design and not just for the congruency to Alien, but the practical effects of the Xenomorph itself, the animatronics, the suits. Just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is not to say that there isn't some CGI shots of the Xenomorph in episode 2, but like, it is mostly practical, and I deeply appreciate that. So we see the alien kill one of the crew members, and it's pretty brutal. It's grabbing it, it's shaking it around like a bear with something in its mouth, and it's pretty dark, it's pretty brutal, it's horrific, and it's awesome. But now we are introduced to the character that I am the most curious about in this entire show so far. What is his name? Let me see if I can find it. His name is Morrow, and he is a cyborg. So this is also something brand new, along with the transfer of consciousness. So a cyborg, which traditionally is part man, part machine, or a man with machine augmentations, somebody that doesn't have their entire consciousness transferred over, but somebody that started human and then had machine-like pieces and parts, implemented into them. So that's what this guy is. And I am really curious about what his agenda is, because we see him talking to Mother, similar to Ash in the original Alien, saying that the crew is dead, even though they're not all dead yet. There's still somebody banging on the door to let them in. And he goes over and he manipulates his hand to create basically a torch, and he seals the metal door shut, locking the person outside to be killed by the Xenomorph. So clearly we're dealing with an Ash-like character that is the mission over everything else. And so I am just wondering if he has anything to do with the creature getting out, if he has something to do with betraying the crew, because Ash didn't exactly betray the crew, like not at first. His mission was just to get the creature to Earth by any means possible, meaning that the crew was expendable. But he didn't go out of his way, to attack the crew until they found out about him, until Ripley found out about him, and then he attacked Ripley. So I wonder if this was sort of the same thing. I wonder if he had his own mission, his own agenda, and they found out, and then that's when he did his thing. I also wonder what the point of this would be, because the ship does crash in the territory of Prodigy, the rival company, and that seems to be something that Yutani does not want. I'll get to that in episode 2, but it seems to be something that she doesn't want. So it's weird that he would betray them for the sake of Weyland-Yutani, knowing that the ship would crash where it did. But also, after the ship does crash, he does kind of continue to try to capture the Xenomorph, as we see in episode 2. So he doesn't care about anyone else or anything. He betrayed his crew, and he's still trying to capture the Xenomorph. So is he trying to do that with an agenda that co-aligns with Weyland-Yutani, or is he trying to do that because he has a deal with somebody else? Or is he doing his own thing for his own reasons? I don't know. I'm very, very curious about this character. I like him so far. The actor is really good, but I just don't know what he's up to. And right now it's got me hooked. Like, that's the thing that's got me the most hooked. I'm like, what is he doing? What is the purpose of what he's doing? Because in episode 2, the search and rescue team, he ties them up, locks them in the ship. And even in episode 2, where he rescues the medic, he shoots the medic also in order to get the Xenomorph. So it's like, where was he going to take it? Where is he going with it? I don't know. So yes, then the ship that was carrying all of the species crash lands in the middle of a city, right smack dab in the middle of a building, bringing all of these creatures to Earth, Xenomorph included. And like I said, this is in the territory of Prodigy, that company. So there's a scene where we meet Yutani, the Yutani of Weyland-Yutani. We get to meet her for the first time, and she wants to send a team in to recover what was on their ship and what belongs to them. But there's a lot of red tape to go through, because in this territory, the head of Prodigy, the kind of young, sort of like Mark Zuckerberg-like character, he calls the shots, and he says, no, it's too dangerous. You can't come get it yet. You got to wait. But really the reason is because he's sending his own team in to investigate. So this is going to cause some conflict between the two rival companies. If only Peter Weyland was around to see this, but he should be dead now if they're following any kind of Prometheus lore. But anyways, so part of the team that goes in to investigate the wreckage is this search and rescue team that very much look close to the Colonial Marines from Aliens. They're all equipped with their body armor and helmets and weapons and stuff, and very, 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 very similar to Aliens. So I appreciated that little consistency as well. But one of the characters with them, the medic CJ, is the brother of Wendy, the girl who had her consciousness put into the synthetic. And they've been estranged since she went with this company to have this procedure done. And as far as he knows, she's dead. That's what they told him. So that's a whole other aspect of it too, where it's like she thought she was here at this facility to get healed and be saved from her illness and be put into this other body, and she was going to come back someday. But her brother just thinks she's straight up dead. So there's a whole other layer that's in there as well. And him so far, I do have some sympathy to him, but I'm not as attached to his character yet. Like he seems like he's filling a role in the story that is going to be beneficial to Wendy and other things that are going on, but I'm just not totally won over by his character yet. Hopefully that'll change. But as they go in there and as they start investigating, this is where the insanity ensues. And episode 1 pretty much ends with them investigating, and then the Prodigy team sending in these new synthetics, the children basically, that have had their consciousness put into the synthetic bodies, sending them in to the wreckage to obtain whatever, with the added motivation that Wendy wants to go there because that's where her brother is. So they suit up, they get their weapons, and they head out. And they're led by Timothy Oliphant's character. I forgot to mention him, who is an android. And he's kind of the one leading this team. He's kind of their mentor, but he says a lot of weird shit about humanity. He reminds me a little bit of David, actually. And I hope that that's true. I hope that he does become like a David-like character, because he makes a lot of comments about humans being animals that are just food for other animals, and that they're on this other level now of being on, being in these synthetic bodies, and he's fully synthetic. So I don't know. I hope there's a little David homage going on there. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but so far, who knows? So that's where episode 1 leaves off. Episode 2 is where shit gets crazy, and it gives me a lot of hope about where this series can go. So with all of that set up, episode 2 is pretty much exploring the ship that has crashed, as well as the building that it crashed in the middle of. And we have the team with the medics, the search and rescue team with Wendy's brother there. This is where we get into the weirdness and the strange biology of these alien species, because we get to see a little bit how all of them act out, basically. So as they go into the ship, we get introduced to this little thing that, like I said, looks like a stick bug that's kind of crawling. We have these 2 search and rescue team members that are in there. They find the room with all of these containers of different, alien organisms or whatever. And one of them doesn't notice that looks like it's crawling from a web, is that this little creature comes down and lands on the back of his neck. Now these 2 guys, they get caught and tied up by the cyborg character I was telling you about. He doesn't kill them. He just kind of leaves them there, kind of like a don't get in my business sort of thing. And the one that has the stick bug on him, it attaches to his neck and literally just starts sucking his blood like a tick. And it's the grossest thing ever. It's CGI, so it's like, it doesn't look like too gross, but the idea of it is gross, where it just starts sucking his blood and it becomes this like big, fat, plump creature before it just plops off and then starts like crawling as this big, like, it looks like a brain. It sucks so much blood. Crazy. So those things are small, and who knows how many of them there could be. The other soldier gets hit with one too. We just don't see him die. So far we got one, these little insects that go around and suck your blood. So that's one. And then we got one, and look, the testament of a good TV show is if you somehow manage to kill a cat and I still like the show, because that's right up right there for me to like turn it off. Like you kill a cat in a show, I'm out. All right. But this show did it pretty well. There's this little eyeball creature that it looks like it attaches to other things like a host. We see the cat turn its head, and it has one giant eyeball as opposed to its regular size eyeball, and then its legs are pretty much flattened as it's crawling on its front 2 legs. And then the eyeball pops itself out of the cat, and the cat instantly dies. And we see the eyeball with the tentacles all around it running towards our team of characters who are able to like put a box over it. So that's another creature. Then we have this, it looks like a plant that's attached to the ceiling of one of the corridors. And it sort of looks like an alien egg, but upside down, but it's definitely plant life. It doesn't look like an alien egg like we're used to seeing them. It looks like leaves, essentially. Like it looks like plant life. And this little sort of appendage comes out and almost looks like it's going to attach to a character's face, but it's a character that's synthetic, so I would assume that was the reason why it didn't attach, because it can probably sense what's biology and what's not. And that's the interesting thing too of this whole team going in there, of these kids in synthetic bodies, because it's like all of these creatures seem to act and attack through biology. Like, obviously Alien is the most basic allegory of, like, losing your free will, being attacked, being assaulted by a creature that uses its body for its own purposes. Like, you don't get any more, on the nose than that. And so, like, that impregnates you. It uses you as a host, all that kind of stuff. Then you have the stick bug that sucks your blood. You have the eye creature. Now you have this plant. So all of these creatures seem as though they kind of subsist on the biology of others. And so when you send a whole team of characters in that are synthetic, you kind of put these creatures at a disadvantage where they can't really attack. Now, I'm sure these characters can still be killed if their bodies are ripped apart and their brain is destroyed, but the creatures have no incentive to attack because they don't sense them as a living organism. It'd be like walking past a wall or a computer or something. It's like they don't even register as things. Then we also get a lot of scenes with the Xenomorph in episode 2. So the medic character gets separated from the rest of the group for a while. He sees an alien above him, which totally a lot of this reminds me of Alien Isolation, and I really want to replay that game now, where there's like a crack in the ceiling above him and the alien is looming over. And I can't tell you how many times in Alien Isolation where I would know that there's a vent ahead of me, but I'd get so distracted and then I'd run under the vent and just immediately be killed. So it was almost that situation. But then when another character meets up with him, there's this weird moment where these people in the building, or I think it's a hotel, I don't know, they're having like some kind of Victorian era party or something. But the Xenomorph comes down, and they do a lot of shots that are similar to the original Alien, where it's in the background and you don't really notice. It's like part of a piece of architecture in the background, and then the shot lingers long enough, and then all of a sudden the alien starts to move, so you start to notice it more and more. It kills another character just in another completely brutal way. You see the alien tongue go into his face, and he's like throwing his body all around, blood's throwing all over the place. It's glorious. I loved it. And then it goes in and just wipes out the entire party all at once. Now, the only part of this scene that annoyed me was how the medic character lived. What is his name? So I'm sorry. It's going to take me a while to learn character names, okay? I need like 10 episodes to learn a name. There's only going to be 8 episodes the whole season, so like this is going to happen a lot. Okay, CJ is what Wikipedia says his name is. So CJ gets jumped by the alien, but does not die instantly. And this is one of those moments where it's like, okay, he's probably going to be a main character, so, he's got some plot armor, but that alien had plenty of time to kill him, and it already showed that it could wipe out an entire party of people in like 30 seconds. And so the fact that it didn't struggle, but like it threw him around and then it got on top of him and it kind of waited a second, and it's like you just had the Xenomorph kill all of these people almost instantly, and then it takes its time with this one character that is our main character. That's just a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, but whatever. I'll deal with it for now. Alien gets shot with this sort of like pulse, like taser type weapon. I'm not sure, by the cyborg. But then he also shoots the medic to get him out of the way. So once again, not saving his life, just looking to capture the Xenomorph. And he puts this sort of weird net over it and begins just like dragging it out, which I thought was pretty funny. Gets to the elevator. But then all of the other soldiers show up as the alien starts to wake up. And it's not long before those other soldiers are also taken out. And once again, the cyborg has too much, syntheticness to him. So the alien seems to leave him alone, which actually is not the case in a lot of alien media. Like you look at Bishop in Aliens, or, in some of the other films, like the alien doesn't really have any qualms about attacking. I could see the other creatures on the ship, like I said, but when it comes to the alien, yeah, I don't know if there's another reason. Also, if he's a cyborg, then he should have human elements as well that the Xenomorph would. So like, I don't know. So this whole sequence, so a couple things like that are like my nitpicks of the show. Like, the fact that we got the massive plot armor on the medic character, and then we have this moment where the alien doesn't attack. So it's like, I just need more of a reason as to why, these characters are surviving. I get that we're going to have a TV show, so we got to have characters last episode to episode to episode, but I just need a little bit more. You got to give me a little bit more for me to buy into it. But with that aside, eventually Wendy does meet up with her brother, and of course, he does not recognize her because the last time he saw her, she was younger in a different body. And so this is a very strange moment where she at first does not tell him, and then it's kind of it's let out by another one of the kids in the group, and then she is forced to tell him. And there's this moment where, like, she discovers that he thought she was dead, where she thought she was just at this facility getting help. So there's definitely going to be tension growing there. But also, I did like the moments of him. There's moments where the scene plays out and he's looking in her eyes as she's speaking and as she's explaining things, and I really like that because it shows, like, I think the thing that you would do is you'd be really looking into the character's eyes to see if you see any kind of semblance of the person that you knew. Like, you're looking for some kind of soul, you're looking for some kind of essence of that person. Like, are you actually in there? And so I like all of the deep stares as she was talking, and him kind of figuring it out in his own head while really kind of searching for, is my sister in there, while also asking her questions that only she would be able to answer, and her getting every single one of them right. And the episode ends with Wendy, her brother, and the other character discovering several alien eggs that are attached to the bottom of the ship. So again, I don't know if they just collected the eggs. I don't know if they're going with the idea that the Xenomorph can just create its own eggs as time goes on. I don't know if they're going with the idea of there's a queen on the ship somewhere. I doubt it, but I don't know. Like, and this is the thing that is going to get me if they don't bother explaining it, is where did they get these samples? Where did they go? They didn't go to LV-426. You know what I mean? Like, when they found it, they had to have found it somewhere else. So where did they go? And if the eggs are here, were they here before and now they're on the floor, or were they laid here? And if they were laid here, which direction of how that happened are we going with? There's just things that need to be answered. But Xenomorph pops out, and I really thought he was going to, the Xenomorph was going to take the medic and basically use him as another vessel for, when the aliens plaster them on the wall so that when the face huggers come out, they can impregnate them immediately. I would have assumed that's what he was grabbing him for, but he gets tackled right off the side of the ship and falls down the corridors below. And the final shot of the episode is Wendy essentially jumping out after him. Also, the final shot of episode 2, nitpick here, but really bad green screen effect. Like, the corridor, like the open part of the ship that the medic falls through behind them, it looked really bad. It looked really bad. But the rest of the show looked amazing, so who cares? So overall, I am pleasantly surprised with the show. I am on board with the premise. I am really curious to see what all of these other alien creatures on the ship are capable of doing. And it does leave me with some mysteries here. Like I said, I think my I wouldn't say favorite character, but the character I'm most interested in right now is the cyborg, because I don't know what his agenda is, and none of the answers I can come up with really make a ton of sense. So I hope they make sense out of that. I really do like Wendy, the actress that's playing her. I don't know her name, but I think she's doing a great job. She's very endearing. She's doing a really good job. So I think I'm going to be on board for her character and this whole Lost Boys, idea. Timothy Olyphant's character is intriguing so far, but he hasn't really done a whole lot. He's the only actor in the show that I recognize, but just not enough from him yet. Like I said, the medic character is okay. I kind of want a little bit more from him. And meeting Yutani was really cool, and having this idea of other corporations. Weyland Yutani still has to be the biggest because that's the most established. But I like the idea that there are these rival companies that are challenging them for, power. And as far as the alien stuff, like the kills, great. The practical effects and suits, great. And the portrayal of the Xenomorph being this insanely fast, strong, powerful, intelligent organism has been good so far. And that's the biggest thing to get right, is the alien. Of everything else, the world building is great, the lore is great, but at the end of the day, the one thing you need to get right in Alien is the alien. And I think that it is so far. So guys, let me know what you think of Alien Earth, the first 2 episodes. If you have watched them, I'm going to be following this show and hopefully covering every episode for you guys as it comes out. I'm really excited about it. I am a huge fan of the Alien franchise. If you guys are new to the channel, I did make an Alien retrospective video a few years ago. This was before Romulus came out, but I went through every movie in the franchise, including Alien vs. Predator, including the video games and all that stuff. So I'll link that down below, along with a couple of the other Alien videos that you can find on my channel. But yeah, guys, I'm excited to see where this goes. Like I said, I have a couple of little nitpicks, couple of questions, but when you're dealing with a TV series, questions get answered over time, so I can't expect to know everything from 2 episodes. So my hope is that my questions will be answered and that I just have a good time with the series overall. So looking forward to it. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Leave all your thoughts, opinions, and theories of Alien Earth down below. Thanks as always, guys. I'll talk to you next time.